Herzogenaurach, Germany, a small Bavarian town of about 24,000 people. Charming half-timbered houses, rolling countryside, the kind of place that looks like it belongs on a postcard. A river runs through the center of town, the Aurach. Under normal circumstances, a river is just geography, a natural feature of the landscape. But in Herzogenaurach, the river wasn't just a river, it was a border. A line that divided the town into two warring camps. The Adidas side, the Puma side. You work for one or the other. You socialized with your side. You drank at your side's bar. Your children went to your side's soccer club. There was the Adidas bar, the Puma bar. They were across the street from each other, and customers never crossed. To drink at the wrong bar was betrayal. Dating someone from the other side? A scandal. Marriage between sides? Practically forbidden. Families were divided. Friendships destroyed. All over shoes. Even in death, the division persisted. The town cemetery holds two graves. Two brothers who founded both companies. They're buried as far apart as the cemetery allows. Even today, older residents remember. They remember which side their family was on. They remember being told to avoid certain streets, certain shops, certain people. But how? How does a shoe rivalry divide an entire town for over 60 years? How do two brothers who built an empire together end up creating a feud so bitter that it tears apart families, friendships, and entire community? What happened between Rudolf and Adolf Dassler? To understand that, we have to go back to when they were partners, brothers, building something remarkable together. Germany, 1,920 seconds. The country is recovering from World War I. The economy is devastated. Hyperinflation is destroying savings. Times are hard. In Herzogenaurach, the Dassler family lives like most Germans of their class, modestly, working hard, getting by. Adolf Dassler, everyone calls him ADI. Born 1900, he's the younger brother, quiet, thoughtful, a craftsman by nature. From his teenage years, ADI is obsessed with one thing: shoes. Specifically, athletic shoes. He's fascinated by how shoes affect performance. How the right shoe can make an athlete faster, more stable, more efficient. He experiments constantly. Different materials, different spike configurations for track shoes, different stud placements for soccer. He's a perfectionist, never satisfied, always trying to make the next version better. Rudolf Dassler, Rudi, born 1898, 2 years older than ADI. Where ADI is quiet, Rudi is outgoing. Where ADI is technical, Rudi is social. Rudi is a salesman, natural charisma. He can talk to anyone, sell anything. He's ambitious, wants success, wants to make something of himself in this struggling economy. On paper, they're opposites, but together, they're perfect complements. ADI can design the best shoes in the world, but he's terrible at selling them. Rudi can sell anything, but he can't design. In 1924, they make it official. Geber der Dassler Schuhfabrik, Dassler Brothers Shoe Factory. They set up in their mother's laundry room. Can you imagine? Two of the world's biggest sportswear brands started in a laundry room. The division of labor is clear. ADI stays in the workshop, perfecting designs, managing production. Rudi travels, selling shoes, making connections with athletes and clubs. Their mother helps with basic assembly. And the shoes? They're good, really good. ADI's obsession with performance pays off. Athletes wearing Dassler shoes start winning. Word spreads. Local athletes want Dassler shoes, then regional athletes. By the early 1930s, they're producing over 100 pairs per day, massive for a small operation. They're close. They trust each other completely. They argue sometimes. Rudi wants to expand faster. ADI wants to perfect quality first, but it's productive disagreement. They're building something together. By 1936, they have 100 employees, a real factory. They're succeeding despite Germany's economic problems. The dream is working. And then comes 1936, the year that will make their fortune and perhaps plant the seeds of their destruction. August 1936, the Berlin Olympics, Hitler's Olympics, designed to showcase Nazi Germany, to prove theories of Aryan racial superiority to the world. For the Nazi regime, these games are propaganda, a global stage for their ideology. For the Dassler brothers, the Olympics are an opportunity, international exposure, athletes from around the world, if they can get athletes to wear their shoes and win. But there's a problem. It's Nazi Germany. The brothers joined the Nazi Party. Was it genuine belief or pragmatic necessity to do business? Historians debate this. Living in Nazi Germany, especially running a business, required navigating the regime. This is the moral complexity of the era. To judge from 2025 is one thing. To understand what it meant to be a working-class German trying to build a business in the 1930s is another. Enter Jesse Owens, a 22-year-old African-American track and field athlete. He's the best in the world, and he represents everything Nazi ideology despises. A.D.I. Dassler, the craftsman who just wants his shoes on the best athletes, approaches Owens. Through translators, through intermediaries, he convinces Owens to wear Dassler spikes. Owens agrees. Not for political reasons, for practical ones. The shoes are good. Maybe they'll help him win. August 3rd through 9th, Jesse Owens wins 4 gold medals. 100 meters, 200 meters, long jump, 4 times 100 relay. He dominates. In front of Hitler, in front of the world. Hitler reportedly leaves rather than congratulate Owens. The Nazi propaganda narrative collapses. An African-American athlete has humiliated their ideology on their own stage. And in every single event, Jesse Owens is wearing Dassler shoes. The irony is profound. German shoes made by brothers who joined the Nazi Party, worn by a Black American athlete, defeating Nazi racial theories. History is rarely simple. The aftermath, Dassler shoes gain international fame. Orders pour in. Athletes around the world want the shoes that Jesse Owens wore. The brothers' business explodes. They should be celebrating. They've made it, but beneath the success, tensions are forming. Rudi feels he doesn't get enough credit. He's the one traveling, networking, closing deals. But everyone talks about ADI's designs. ADI feels Rudi doesn't appreciate the craftsmanship. Rudi just sees sales numbers, not the hours perfecting each design. And their wives, reportedly, KV and Friedel, don't get along at all. Family dinners become tense. Small resentments build. Then in September 1939, Germany invades Poland. World War II begins. The Dassler factory, like all German industry, is pressed into war production. Fewer athletic shoes, more military boots. ADI manages the factory. Essential work keeps him from frontline service. Rudi gets drafted into the Wehrmacht, Germany's armed forces. For the first time in their partnership, they're separated. Years pass. The war grinds on. Communication is difficult. They're living completely different experiences. In 1943, Rudi is arrested by the Gestapo on charges of desertion. He's sent to an American POW camp. He survives, but he's traumatized and suspicious. Why was Rudi arrested? Some theories suggest ADI informed on him. Keeping Rudi away protected ADI's control of the factory. ADI denied this his entire life. We'll never know the truth. But there's another story, perhaps the most famous, though its truth is also debated. During an Allied bombing raid, ADI and his wife run to the air raid shelter. Rudi and his family are already there, visiting from the military. ADI, stressed and frightened, says something like, "Die Schweinhund sind wieder da." The dirty bastards are back again. ADI meant the Allied bombers. Rudi thought ADI meant him and his family. Or did ADI actually mean Rudi? Different accounts give different interpretations. Maybe it was a misunderstanding. Maybe it was intentional. But in that moment, in a bomb shelter during a war that's destroying everything, a seed is planted, a seed of distrust that will grow into hatred. May 1945, the war ends. Germany is in ruins. Millions dead, cities destroyed. The Nazi regime defeated. Both Dassler brothers survive. They return to Herzogenaurach. The factory still stands. They could rebuild together. But something is broken. Fundamentally, irreparably broken. They can barely look at each other. Conversations are terse, cold. The brotherhood is gone. What caused it? What broke two brothers who built an empire together? Theory 1, the shelter incident, the dirty bastards comment. Rudi interpreted it as ADI calling him and his family bastards. The insult, in that moment of fear and stress, became the final straw. Years of small resentments, and this was the breaking point. Rudi never forgave him. Theory 2, the Gestapo betrayal. Rudi believed ADI informed on him to the Gestapo, protected the factory by eliminating his brother. ADI always denied it, but Rudi died believing it. Did ADI betray his brother to the Nazis? Or was it paranoia born of war trauma? We'll never know. Theory 3. The wives' sum account emphasized the wives. Kathy and Friedel despised each other. Family gatherings became battles. The women pushed their husbands apart. Perhaps the brothers could have reconciled, but their wives wouldn't allow it. The feud became familial, not just between brothers, but between families. Theory 4. Business resentments after the war. They had to decide how to rebuild. What direction? Who controls what? Rudi felt he never got proper credit for the business success. He was just the salesman. ADI felt Rudi didn't respect the craftsmanship that made the sales possible. Arguments over money, over ownership percentages, over control. Business disputes that became personal attacks. Theory 5. All of the above the truth? Probably all of it. War trauma. Betrayal real or perceived. Family tensions. Business disputes. Years of small resentments that became a mountain of hatred. Relationships don't break from one thing. They break from 1,000 cuts. And by 1945, the Dassler brothers had endured 1,000 cuts. They tried to continue together after the war. For nearly 3 years, they attempt to operate the company jointly. It's miserable. Every decision is a battle. They can't agree on anything. They can barely be in the same room. The workers sense it. The town senses it. This can't continue. 1948, they formally split the company. Divide the assets. This is the divorce. They draw a line down the property. ADI gets the factory building. Rudi gets some equipment and cash. They will operate separately. ADI creates Adidas from ADI Dassler, his nickname and surname. Simple, direct. Rudi first tries Rudolf from Rudolf Dassler, but it doesn't sound right. He settles on Puma. Powerful, fast, distinct. And here's what's remarkable. Both stay in Herzogenaurach, a small town of 20,000 people. They could have gone anywhere. Rudi could have set up in Munich, Stuttgart, anywhere in Germany. But no, they both stay. Factories across the river from each other. Close enough to see. Close enough to be constant reminders. From 1948 until their deaths, they never spoke again. Not once. They refused to be in the same room. If one was at an event, the other wouldn't attend. The hatred was absolute, and it would consume the rest of their lives. What happened next is extraordinary. A personal feud between two brothers became a community-wide division. The Aurach River, which flows through town, became a border. North of the river, Adidas territory. South, Puma territory. It wasn't official. There were no checkpoints. But everyone knew. Everyone felt it. Here's why it mattered. Both companies became the town's largest employers. By the 1950s and 60s, almost everyone in Herzogenaurach worked for one company or the other, or had family who did. You worked for Adidas or Puma. Your paycheck came from one or the other. Your livelihood depended on the company. And with that economic dependence came social pressure. You didn't just work for a company, you were Adidas or you were Puma. There was the Adidas bar, the ADI Dassler, the Puma bar across the street. Adidas employees drank at their bar, Puma employees at theirs. Crossing over? Unthinkable. Separate bakeries. Some butchers served Adidas families, others Puma families. Even the soccer club split Adidas-sponsored teams vs. Puma-sponsored teams. Children grew up knowing which side they were on. It was taught, inherited, assumed. Your family was Adidas or Puma, and so were you. Dating someone from the other side? A scandal that would ripple through families. Parents disapproved. Friends questioned your loyalty. Marriages between Adidas and Puma families were rare. When they happened, families sometimes disowned the couple. It was that serious. Think about the absurdity. A town of 20,000 people split completely in half over shoe brands. People crossing the street to avoid each other. Checking what shoes you wore before talking to you. Casual observations becoming loyalty tests. The 3 stripes of Adidas or the Puma leaping cat instant identifiers of which side you were on. Stories of people refusing to attend weddings because the other side would be there. Of children being told they couldn't play with certain kids because their parents worked for the wrong company. You didn't go to certain streets. We knew which families were which. You just didn't mix. It seems crazy now, but it was very real then. But here's why it persisted. You couldn't be neutral. Your job was your side. If you tried to be friends with both sides, you'd be suspected by both. The rivalry defined the town's very identity. The town became famous not for beautiful Bavarian architecture, not for history, but for being divided by a shoe feud. And this wasn't for a few years. This was for decades. Through the 1950s, 60 seconds, 70 seconds, 80 seconds. Long after any rational justification. Long after most people forgot what started it. Even into the 1990s and 2000 seconds, older residents maintained their loyalty. They'd lived their whole lives on one side. They couldn't change now. The human cost was real. Friendships that never formed. Relationships never attempted. Community events where half the town wouldn't attend. All because two brothers couldn't forgive each other. But the town's division was nothing compared to the corporate rivalry, because this wasn't just business competition. This was personal warfare. Both Adi and Rudi were determined not just to succeed, but to see the other fail. Success only mattered if it came at the other's expense. The athletic arms raced the battleground, major sporting events, Olympics, World Cups. Any stage where athletes competed, the Dassler brothers were fighting to dress them. Both companies sent scouts to recruit athletes. Whoever signed more champions won that event. It became obsessive. 1954 World Cup, Adidas' triumph, July 4th, 1954. Switzerland. The World Cup final. West Germany facing Hungary, the dominant team, unbeaten and for years called the Magical Magyars. Adi had designed something revolutionary, screw-in studs. Players could change studs based on field conditions. In the pouring rain of that final, the German team screwed in longer studs for better traction. Germany wins 3-2. The miracle of Bern, a devastated post-war nation, finds joy, hope, national pride. And every single German player was wearing Adidas. For Adi, this was more than a business win. Adidas became synonymous with German resilience, innovation, success. It was validation. For Rudi, watching from across the river, it was torture. This should have been both of theirs, but it was all Adi's. The 1960s Olympics through the 1960s Olympics, both companies were on the ground recruiting. They'd approach athletes, offer free shoes, cash under the table, violating amateur rules, anything to get them to wear their brand. The competition became sabotage. Each company accused the other of stealing designs, poaching employees, spreading false rumors. Legal battles erupted constantly. Patent disputes, design theft accusations. It was war by lawsuit as much as business competition. 1970 World Cup, Puma's revenge, June 21st, 1970. Mexico City, World Cup final. Brazil, the favorites, against Italy. And playing for Brazil, Pelé, the greatest footballer in the world, the most famous athlete on the planet. Pelé was wearing Puma. Rudi had signed him, likely paying enormous sums. Before the match starts, Pelé bends down to tie his shoes. The cameras catch it. Close up of the Puma logo. Millions watching worldwide. It wasn't just coincidence, this was orchestrated. Puma paid for that moment. Brazil wins 4-1. Pelé lifts the trophy. And the world sees Puma. For Rudi, this was his World Cup moment. His miracle of Bern. Finally, validation. For Adi, across the river, it was humiliation. Pelé, the world's best, wearing the wrong shoes. The personal war, what's tragic is this, neither brother could let it go. Every successive one was a failure for the other. Business wasn't about profit anymore, it was about beating your brother. Employees were caught in the crossfire, expected to show absolute loyalty, questioned if they were seen talking to someone from the other company. The rivalry consumed them. Business decisions weren't made based on what was best for the company, they were made based on what would hurt the other brother more. Both men's health suffered. The stress, the obsession. They were wealthy, successful, but neither could enjoy it. Success meant nothing if your brother was also succeeding. The innovation race. But here's the paradox. The hatred drove innovation. Both companies were desperate to be better than the other. That desperation created breakthroughs. Adidas pioneered scientific approaches to shoe design. The 3 stripes, originally functional for support, became iconic branding. New materials, biomechanical research. Puma focused on speed, lighter shoes. The Puma suede becomes iconic in basketball and hip-hop culture. Different approach, equally innovative. The rivalry actually made both companies better. Competition forced excellence. If one launched something revolutionary, the other had to respond with something better. Athletes got better shoes. Technology advanced faster. Consumers had choices. The market benefited enormously from this competition. But the brothers couldn't see that. They couldn't step back and appreciate what they'd built. They could only see the enemy across the river. The global war post-we, both companies expanded globally. Europe, Americas, Asia, Africa. Wherever sports happened, both brands wanted dominance. They chased the same markets, signed athletes in the same sports, opened stores in the same cities, always competing, never cooperating. By the 1970s, both were global brands. Adidas slightly bigger, but Puma close behind. Combined, they dominated global athletic footwear. They should have been celebrating. They'd taken a small-town shoe workshop and built global empires. Against all odds, through a world war, through economic hardship, they'd succeeded beyond imagination. But neither could enjoy it, because the other was also succeeding. Success was meaningless if your brother also had it. Victory was impossible if your enemy also won. The cost was their lives, their happiness, their families, their health, all sacrificed on the altar of a grudge neither could release. The 1970s. Both brothers are old men now. Adi is in his mid-70s. Rudi the same. Their rivalry has lasted over 25 years since the split, nearly 30 years since the war ended, and still they hate each other. No softening with age, no wisdom that comes with mortality. The grudge has hardened like concrete. October 27, 1974, Rudolf Dassler dies, age 76, lung cancer. He spent his final years still fighting, still competing, still hating his brother. There was no deathbed reconciliation, no moment of forgiveness, no peace. Rudi's funeral is held in Herzogenaurach. The Puma side of town mourns. Adi Dassler does not attend his own brother's funeral. That absence says everything. Even in death, no forgiveness, no gesture of peace. The hatred survived even mortality. September 6, 1978, Adolf Dassler dies, age 78, heart failure. He also spent his final years consumed by the rivalry, also never reconciling, also dying with the grudge intact. According to people close to him, Adi expressed no regret about the split, no wish that things had been different. He died as he'd lived for 30 years at war with his brother. Both brothers are buried in the same cemetery in Herzogenaurach. But even in death, they couldn't be close. Their graves are positioned as far apart as the cemetery physically allows. Opposite corners, maximum distance. Even in death, separated. The feud outlasted both of them. What they never knew, both men died before seeing the full impact of what they'd built. Through the 1980s, 90 seconds, 2000 seconds, both Adidas and Puma would become even bigger. Today, Adidas generates over 22 billion euros in annual revenue. Puma over 8 billion euros. Combined, over 30 billion euros. Over 100,000 employees worldwide. Both brands are globally iconic. The three stripes, the leaping Puma, instantly recognizable worldwide, all built from a laundry room in a small Bavarian town by the brothers who started with nothing. But they died focused not on celebrating their creation, but on destroying each other. Both successful, neither happy, both wealthy, neither satisfied, both victorious, neither winning. The feud continues. After their deaths, the brothers' children took over the companies, and they maintained the feud. No reconciliation between families, no recognition that the original combatants were gone, and maybe, just maybe, it was time to let it go. The bitterness was inherited, passed down, a family tradition of hatred, and with each generation that maintained it, the waste became more apparent. These people didn't even know what started it, but they carried it forward anyway. The 1980s, 90 seconds, 2000 seconds. Both companies evolve. New leadership, new strategies. The world of athletic footwear changes dramatically. Corporate evolution, the Dassler families eventually lose control. Adidas goes through various owners. In 2006, it merges with Reebok. Today, it's a publicly traded company owned by investors. Puma also goes through ownership changes. Kering, the luxury conglomerate, became a major shareholder at one point. The Dassler family no longer controls it. The rivalry continues, but it's different now. It's professional competition between corporations, not personal warfare between brothers. There's no hatred, just market share, just quarterly earnings, just normal business competition. The town heals in Herzogenaurach. The division slowly fades. The younger generation doesn't remember the brothers, doesn't understand why their grandparents still won't talk to certain people. People from different sides begin mixing. The bars become just bars, not political statements. The soccer clubs merge. Young people date and marry across the old lines. Their parents might remember, might feel weird about it, but they don't forbid it. The division becomes history. A weird thing that happened. Older residents tell stories about it, and younger people shake their heads at the absurdity. But the older residents remember. Some still feel loyalty to their brand. Old habits die hard. Old identities don't just disappear. 2009, the peace match, September 21st, 2009. Herzogenaurach. A soccer match is organized. Adidas employees versus Puma employees. 350 employees participate. The first time in over 60 years that the two companies officially cooperate on anything. They play on the same field. Some wear Adidas, some wear Puma, some wear mixed jerseys, one brand's shoes, the other brand's shirt. It's friendly, fun, a symbol of peace. The town comes out to watch. The media covers it. It's a moment. But Adi and Rudi are both dead, have been for over 30 years. They never saw this moment, never knew peace was possible. The reconciliation came too late for the people who actually needed it. Modern day today, Herzogenaurach is still home to both company headquarters. Adidas's modern campus on one side, Puma's on the other. The town's identity is forever tied to this rivalry. Tourism has embraced it. There are walking tours. A museum tells the story, but it's history now. The people working at these companies today weren't born when Adi and Rudi were alive. They don't carry the grudge. Both companies thrive. Both are global giants in athletic footwear and apparel. Both sponsor major athletes, teams, events. They achieved the success both brothers wanted, built global brands from nothing, changed sports forever. But at what cost? So what do we learn from this? What does this story of two brothers, a divided town, and a 60-year feud teach us? On family businesses can be beautiful, combining blood with commerce, building something together, leaving a legacy for future generations. But they can also destroy families. Money and power strain relationships. Disputes over control, credit, direction can become personal attacks. The Dassler brothers didn't split over one big thing. It was accumulation. Years of small resentments, tiny slights, unspoken frustrations. These compound like interest. And then pride prevents reconciliation. Both brothers probably regretted aspects of the feud, but neither could be the first to reach out. Neither could show weakness. Pride is expensive. It cost them their relationship, their happiness, decades of life consumed by hatred. On grudges, holding a grudge is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It punishes you more than them. Both Dassler brothers were successful, wealthy, famous, built global brands, but neither could enjoy it because they were too focused on hating each other. Success without peace is hollow. Victory without forgiveness is empty. You can win everything and still lose what matters. How many years did they waste? How many moments with family sacrificed? How much stress and suffering self-inflicted? They could have let it go at any point after 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. But they chose not to. They chose bitterness on competition. Here's the complicated part. The competition produced something valuable. Both companies innovated faster because they were desperate to beat each other. Athletes got better equipment. Technology advanced. The market flourished. Competition drove excellence. But was it worth the personal cost? Both brothers destroyed their relationship, their peace of mind, their happiness. For what? Better shoes? Can you separate the business success from the human cost? Should we celebrate the innovation while mourning the tragedy? Both things are true. The rivalry produced excellence and destroyed lives. Both are real. On legacy, both Dassler brothers left enormous legacies. Their brands have dressed Olympic champions, World Cup winners, basketball legends. Millions of people wear their shoes daily. But they're also remembered for the feud. When people tell their story, it's not just about innovation, it's about bitterness. Is that the legacy they wanted? To be remembered as brothers who hated each other? Probably not. What we leave behind matters. Not just what we build, but how we treat people, how we handle conflict, whether we forgive. You can build an empire and still fail as a human being. You can win at business and lose at life. The final irony, both brothers spent their lives trying to beat each other. That was their definition of success, not just winning, but seeing the other lose. And in business terms, they both succeeded. Both built global brands. Both became wealthy. Both created lasting companies. But neither won, because winning required the other to lose completely, and the other never did. The only winners were the companies. Adidas won, Puma won, but Adi and Rudi, they both lost. They spent their lives at war, and the war had no winner. Just two old men who died bitter, separated, unreconciled. The modern parallel business feuds still happen today. Tech CEO rivalries, corporate warfare, competitive obsessions. But rarely do they consume people like this. Rarely do they last 30+ years. Rarely do they divide entire towns. What can we learn? That success isn't worth sacrificing relationships. That grudges harm us more than our enemies. That pride is expensive. That forgiveness is strength, not weakness. Was it worth it? In their final moments, did they think it was worth it? Did Adi, lying in his hospital bed, think, "I'm glad I never forgave my brother"? They built global empires, changed sports, became wealthy and famous, but they destroyed their brotherhood, missed decades they could have enjoyed together, died without reconciliation. Was the business success worth the personal cost? Was beating your brother worth never speaking to him again? We'll never know how they truly felt. Both maintained their grudges publicly until death, but privately, did they regret it? What's certain is this: two brilliant men wasted enormous human potential on hatred. Instead of building together, they fought apart. Instead of celebrating success, they obsessed over competition. They could have enjoyed their later years in peace, proud of what they built together. Instead, they died enemies. Let's return to where we started, the cemetery in Herzogenaurach. On a quiet day, you can walk through this cemetery, past the graves of generations of Herzogenaurach residents, past the history of this small Bavarian town. And in one corner, you'll find Adolf, Adi Dassler's grave. Simple, dignified, marking the resting place of a man who changed sports forever. To find Rudolf Rudi Dassler's grave, you'll need to walk across the entire cemetery to the opposite corner, as far as the cemetery allows. His grave is also simple, also dignified, also marking a man who changed sports forever. The distance between those graves, maybe 200 meters, represents everything. A town divided, a family destroyed, a relationship that could have been beautiful but became bitter. Two brothers who started in their mother's laundry room with a shared dream, who built something from nothing, who should have shared success and happiness. Instead, they spent 3 decades in silence, in hatred, in waste. All over what? A comment in a bomb shelter? A wartime betrayal? Wives who didn't get along? Business disputes? We'll never know for certain. And perhaps the answer doesn't matter, because whatever started it, they had 3 decades to end it, and they chose not to. Pride, stubbornness, the inability to forgive, the refusal to be the first to reach out. These killed their relationship more surely than any specific incident. 2 gravestones, separated in death as they were separated in life, but also 2 global brands, billions in revenue, millions of employees, countless athletes wearing their innovations, the 3 stripes, the leaping puma, legacies that survived and thrived beyond the men who created them. Legacy is complicated. They built something remarkable, and they destroyed something precious. Both are their legacy. Today, an athlete laces up Adidas shoes before a race. The innovation Adi obsessed over helps them run faster. Another athlete wears Puma. The speed-focused design Rudi championed helps them compete. Neither athlete knows the full story. The brotherhood, the war, the split, the decades of hatred. They just know the shoes work. Perhaps that's how the brothers will want it. Their innovations remembered, their feud forgotten. But we remember both because the story matters. The human story behind the brands matters. We learn that success without relationships is hollow, that grudges punish us more than our enemies, that forgiveness is strength, that pride is expensive. We might think about our own grudges, our own unresolved conflicts, family members we haven't spoken to in years, friends we let slip away over disagreements. Is it worth it? Is whatever divided you worth years of silence? Worth dying without reconciliation? The Dassler brothers couldn't honestly answer yes. Their success couldn't fill the void where their brotherhood had been. In the end, the only thing that divided them was pride, and that was enough. 2 brothers, 2 empires, 1 town, 0 forgiveness. The story of Adidas and Puma isn't just about shoes. It's about what we sacrifice in pursuit of victory, and whether that sacrifice is ever worth it.